Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers, and this morning I'm looking at a book in the series from LexisNexis TOLLEY. We've reviewed some of these books in the past, and our detailed review is on the web and in some of the journals. Let me explain this book in some detail because I think it's a very important one, and it crosses a rather wide range of people who would be interested in it. This is the book here. It's called TOLLEY'S Employment Tax Planning 2011-12, written by Amanda Sullivan with Graham Farquhar, who's from Ernst & Young. There's some blurb on the back, which you can see there, little side bit there. It's about 800 pages long. It's got quite a useful preface at the beginning, where Amanda explains what this is all about today and why this book is relevant for this particular tax year. You can notice from what you've got that you have paragraph numbering at the side, which makes it much easier to find what you're looking for. It's got a great deal of extended information in it. The chapter headings start there. You can see it starts off with the employment general stuff. Then it runs through to what are in fact 11 chapters in total, and also you've got the appendix at the back, and also some very useful abbreviations. So you can see that it's an important book in many respects. The index I thought was particularly helpful because you can see it's a very detailed index. And that, for these types of tax books, is very important because you're always having a difficulty trying to find what you're actually looking for. Now, the review that we've written, we've given it the title Indispensable Tax Planning Advice and Information from TOLLEY'S for Employers and Their Advisors. And this is what we say. We're saying that all employers, and most certainly their tax advisors, should have a copy of this book. Undeniably, it's a full, comprehensive and authoritative work of reference and a reliable guide to every area of tax in the arena of employment, from of course income tax and national insurance contributions to the many related compliance issues. The basic legislation of course is covered in detail, and an analysis is provided of the constituents of an employment package that includes pensions and share-based incentives. So it's got everything for the financial advisor in this area if that's what you're looking for. We think it's particularly important to acquire this current book as it's up to date, because we're approaching the 2011-12 tax year, and you might for instance find it interesting to check out the subsection on the 2012 Olympics, which we thought was quite an interesting area. As you would expect, the book contains detailed guidance relating to the 2011 Finance Act, which, as Amanda Sullivan points out, has, quote, made dramatic changes to the relief that is available for employee pension provision, as well as introducing complex rules on third-party disguised remuneration. Now, of course, pensions are a very big issue and are going to remain so for some time. Again, I think it's very important from an employer's point of view to bear in mind that this is a good guide for you in that area as well. There are other changes, of course, being introduced by the government starting from 2012, including a fact-based statutory residence test and certain revisions to the remittance basis of taxation for non-domiciled individuals, both of which have been fairly controversial, of course, in the past. Then there are the longer-term ramifications of the government's announced intention of introducing what will amount to a single combined income tax and national insurance contribution. And I've said, always controversial, and we will believe it when we see it. And of course, it'll integrate the income tax NIC system in the future, and I think it's a great personal step forward for most people that will happen. But whether it does and how long it's going to take is another matter. All the elements of the book that we've just mentioned, however, scarcely begin to describe the extensive scope, the detailed content, or the overall usefulness of the work. Note, for instance, that it examines all the special rules for what we would call special employment categories, from agency workers to directors, MPs and expatriates. I think it's important to bear in mind agency workers because there are going to be changes, of course, in that area legislatively as well. So Amanda Sullivan has written what we think is the definitive TOLLEY'S Expatriate Tax Planning Guide as well. So this is a nice sort of sister publication with it. Within the book's sort of 800 pages, then there are ample research tools available for you, including the table of statutes, cases, abbreviations, references, and what I've shown you earlier on. The 8 or so appendices which you've got include all the relevant and useful forms, again a good thing for everyone, tables and specimen letters, and speaking of useful, there is a detailed index which I've indicated which will save you a lot of time, and I do actually recommend you look at the index because it does help. So let me conclude by saying if you're in any way involved professionally with employment tax planning, this in our view is a must-have purchase for your library. I'm very grateful to Amanda and her team, and also to TOLLEY'S for producing it. It's of their highest standard as always. Thank you. Bye bye.